Being a referee is a very empowering job because I get to yell at people and they have to listen to me. It's kind of nice to be able to get in people's faces, but ultimately our number one job is helping the wrestlers tell a story. And if I'm getting in a wrestler's face, like, we probably talked about it ahead of time. My name is Brittany Aubert, but most people probably know me as Aubrey Edwards, referee for All Elite Wrestling. I grew up in Northern California. I was a classical ballet dancer since I was 9 years old. And ever since I was little, I wanted to make video games. So I moved up to Seattle, went to a school called DigiPen Institute of Technology, got my 4-year bachelor's in computer science. My biggest claim to fame is I was a project lead on Scribblenauts, which was on Nintendo DS. We were a Wii launch title. I worked on that game for about 6.5 years, various different iterations of it. Most people end up watching wrestling as a kid, and that's not something I did. My dad said it was stupid and that it's fake and you shouldn't watch it. But I first watched wrestling WrestleMania 27. A couple friends of mine had a party, and I literally have no idea what's going on. I'm like, this is okay, I guess. And that was the moment that got my husband back into it. He was a fan when he was younger, so he started watching it, and one day I come home from work and he says, hey, you gotta watch this thing that happened. And it was June, about 10 years ago, where CM Punk does his famous pipe bomb promo. And from that moment, I was hooked. And I think part of that is because I had been a ballet dancer for so long, I immediately saw the performance aspect of it. Wrestling is really the only form of entertainment that has the relationship with the audience it does. The crowd is interacting, the crowd is booing the bad guys and cheering the good guys, and performers have the opportunity to respond to that, and that doesn't happen anywhere else. So it was absolutely fascinating, and I fell in love with it. I was been working on games professionally for near 10 years, and I was looking at retiring from ballet. My body was destroyed for mental health reasons. I just needed to step away. And after leaving that, I got super depressed because performing, turns out, was a very big form of how I coped with a lot of emotion. So I needed something new, and someone came to me and said, hey, we have this indie wrestling show that I was a fan of and I attended every week. We think you should be a referee. And I said, why would I want to do that? That sounds so silly. Like, all they do is yell at people, whatever. So I tried it, I was terrible. I tried it again, I was a little bit better. And a month and a half later, I did my first show. 2 years later, I'm here. A professional wrestling referee is a very unique role in that a lot of people think we're just someone who officiates and enforces rules, when in actuality we have what seems like 12 jobs in a given moment. Yes, we're enforcing rules, but the rules are there to service the story. We're also in charge of helping the production of a television show. We're live on TV for 2 hours. We gotta be off the air at 9:59, and part of that is me communicating where we are in the show based on the times I'm getting from the back of my earpiece to the wrestlers so they can adjust accordingly and we can stick to the confines of what we're given to tell that story. I really like the punctuality of we have to be on the air at 8 and we have to be off the air then. So for me, it's just a different format of, instead of following the schedule in a spreadsheet, you're following the schedule based on what Tony tells you. Day of television, I wake up, I hit the gym. I don't think a lot of people understand how in shape you have to be as a referee. Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson go an hour, but I don't think people realize that Paul Turner was in there for an hour as well. And that's a lot to ask of a referee because you're reacting constantly to everybody and every movement that's happening. I'll end up hitting the venue pretty early. I get in the makeup chair first because there's a lot of girls that day and I know I'm on the show and I just want to get in and get out. I do a lot of just trying to communicate to people backstage as the wrestlers are figuring things out. We're meeting up with them, talking about finishes, talking about specific spots, different camera angles. We're working with the coaches to figure out what are the story elements we want to see. And it's just a lot of throwing a bunch of things at the wall and hoping it all sort of works out. A single day, we're filming a 2-hour episode of live television, but I mean, it's a 12 to 13-hour day for us.
So today is the debut of Dynamite on TBS. And one of the things that I'm personally excited about, I even did my nails to match it, is the TBS Championship. So this has been a tournament we've had with the women's division, and I am very honored to be the person that will be reffing that match. Reffing the match itself is not terrifying. It's the act of, okay, I have this belt, I show it to people, now I need to make sure it's not held upside down. So that's that little panic attack that every ref has. It would still look good upside down. It's a very interesting thing being a woman in this role, because at the same time, I don't want to be seen as a woman in this role, but I also know what it means to be in the prominent position I am. Coming from another male-dominated industry like video games, it's something that's sort of been on my mind my entire adult life, that there's not a lot of women, and what we're doing is super important for representation's sake and giving other women opportunities. AEW is a very interesting place because, to me, I don't think about it like I'm just there yelling at dudes who play fight in their underwear. I'm not really thinking about what it means for me to be my gender in this role, but hearing the responses from parents, especially on Twitter, saying my kids are watching you and saying, I want to be her when I grow up. And that's just really, really I had no idea, right? But now I see the impact that I'm having in wrestling, and that's really great. Something like being the first woman to ref a main event title match at a pay-per-view. We didn't do that so we could check the box. Both Jericho and Hangman asked me to do that match because they wanted me specifically to do it.
Something about her just stood out, that she had kind of star quality, which isn't super important for a ref, but it is to me. I thought she was the best person for the job, and I thought combining that with the fact that it's the first time ever using a female in this high profile position would be a really cool kind of a 1-2 punch, forward thinking type of an idea, because in the past you would never consider having a woman referee a guy's match. Why, I don't know, but I thought it was time to change that in 2019, and that's what we did.
Regardless of what it is you're doing, whether it's a male-dominated field or not, that doing the best job that you possibly can is the absolute most important thing. The fact that I'm a woman is just extra bonus.